you are still, as a carer, paid by the social services or whoever it is that pays you. Why are they not, when they contact you, as they have to from time to time, why are they not sending you information that turns around and says to you, you're a carer, if you need help with this, that's the number to phone. If you need help with that, that's the person to speak to, etc., etc. It's basic, easy, what's the word?
It's common sense, really, isn't it? It's not rocket science.
No, it isn't. And that's all it needs. We get paper with bits and pieces thrown out on everywhere you go with all kinds of junk, but anything that is sensible you can't get.
Like many people who have been carers, I found when I was caring that I didn't know where to go for information. And I picked up information quite by chance by watching television. And we say a lot against television, but sometimes they've got a programme which really makes you perk up like the meerkats and sort of say, now that's what I want to know. And through that I knew where to go. And that's why, now that I'm no longer a full-time carer, I'm giving back to Alzheimer's Society, and I hope to community generally, some of the lessons that I learned about where to go for information. But now that I'm in this different situation of not actually being closely involved with the people for whom I'm trying to find information, I'm finding it difficult, very difficult to know where to start. And I have a network, so all of the time you're doing one small step of thinking, now, who might help me with this? And taking a punt and hoping that if they don't know, they'll know someone who does. And quite often, if you do make that first step, you do get on the ladder. But that presupposes you've got the time to do it. And if you're a full-time carer, you don't have that time. I was called over by a neighbour who said, now, I know that you have been involved with the Alzheimer's Society. My husband has just been diagnosed with vascular dementia. Can you tell me what it's all about? So I said, well, I can't tell you, but I can find you some information which you might find helpful. And maybe that informal kind of information is the first step for many people. And of course it's fraught with many dangers, because I could have said something off the top of my head which would not have been appropriate, and which the GPs and consultants concerned would have been horrified at. So what do? It's not just how do you get information, but how do you give information when you are in that kind of situation. You can, of course, ring a telephone helpline, but where do you get the information that there is a telephone helpline? And they can be very useful, but quite often they are national and they can't give you a great deal of local information. And they are remote. They're a voice, and although the younger people are used to voices coming out of the ether, us older people are used to talking to people face to face, and it's not easy to talk to a disembodied voice always.
You're faced with something that really takes you apart, and then before that you're faced with, okay, if Dad survives, if we want to give him a little bit of dignity in this process of dying, who do we need to go to? Where is it that we're going to get clear information about what our possibilities are? And there's so much. This is the thing that's drowning. I think I had this, I used the word drowning. I had this feeling of sinking in a very thick soup, which you just could not work out. Where the hell do you get the support? And that human contact was really very soothing. Took a lot of pain away. It also calmed my anger. She listened to that anger. I don't know if they're trained in any way, but she listened really well and could then access the information that I'd asked for. What do we need to do to get care services involved? And gave me concrete answers. You know, this is that you're not going to be allowed because Dad's over this amount of money, or this is this amount of money, and that was really good. I found that human contact very important. The second thing, getting clear information about saying this works, this doesn't. There is no something like a central body which could give all that information. We had to go to 2 or 3 different bodies to get the information. There was no help in saying, okay, what would be the best thing for your dad? What would be the best thing for you? And to help make a plan. I think sometimes this is a personal crisis. The skills and the qualities of the person fall down and dissolve into nothingness because of the personal pain that they feel. Sitting there and having to deal with my pain before I could even think of all the possibilities. Where do I need to go for the information? And so as a person who's qualified in terms of dealing with situations like this, I found myself first of all just withdrawing, having to take time to sort out my stuff. And so I don't believe, this is my opinion here, I don't believe that even professionals are in any way able to deal with situations like this because it's too personal. Bereavement counselling for me doesn't start when the person's dead. It starts with when you know that this person might not live much longer. Being given the information says, well, you might need to look at these issues. And if you need to look at those issues, I'll help you. Somebody who's going to walk the line with you.
Sometimes, even when you do get to the right place and you ask your question, the way in which the response is phrased makes you not either understand exactly what's said or makes you feel that you would really rather not get involved with whatever it is that's being said to you. And sometimes the information given is the information that the person at the other end wants to give you, rather than the information that you are really trying to find. There seems to be a lack of insight by the people giving out the information of the state of mind of the person that's asking the question, or how to actually draw out the person asking the question so that they can put it in terms that can actually be sorted out. And that stops people from asking, and maybe that's one of the biggest barriers to getting information, that people are afraid to ask because they may be giving someone some information which will be used to their disadvantage, that an elderly friend I have will not approach anyone about her increasing frailty, her fear of being alone at home, because she is sure she will be put into a home against her will. And that's a big barrier. I don't know the answer to that one, but I do think that it is the sensitivity of the people at the other end of the line that's going to solve it eventually.